probably me.
Is that? Oh.
Remember the last time I had a tick? This time I've got a hum.
We're live. Hello?
Oh, we are. Okay, great.
I wasn't talking about myself personally. I was talking about the noise we were hearing.
We are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey Researchers Report. We got a great show planned for you tonight. With me, as always, producer and co-host of the report, Miss Daniela Aiolo. How are you, Daniela?
I'm good, thank you.
She tricked us. She went live and didn't tell us we were going live. Our guest for tonight, my cuz, coming to us all the way from.
Remember what hill I was from?
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't know where you were. You at home?
Yeah,
all the way from home.
I'm in the home, not the nursing home, but I'm in the home with a tick and a hum. Over here in southwestern Virginia.
Yeah, no, it's not bad though. It's not bad. I noticed it just before Danielle hit the live button. So my cuz, Mr. Tracy Arnold, the Sasquatch Outlaw himself. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Kerry? How about you?
I'm better. I was pretty ill there for a while, and I was still some residual effects. I think I lost a lot of weight. I mean, it was bad. But hey, let's do our thing here before we get started. Just to remind everyone, please keep it clean for us in the chat. We do appreciate it. We'll take questions for Tracy probably in the second half. So if you want to save those till then, and make sure you put those all in caps for us, makes it a lot easier for us to find. So let's get right into it. You know, Tracy, you've had several experiences with these creatures, and I know the feeling of the one encounter you had. I know that feeling all too well. What about before you ever saw one? What? Because I mean, you were aware of these creatures before you ever got to see one. So what was it that kind of got you started on that path?
Well,
the hum left.
First, well, the first thing got my attention. Where everybody fires Patterson, getting the footage, all this stuff going on with Rick Dyer's hoaxes and everything, and big time news stuff. It's what you've seen, over the years. But after watching Find Bigfoot and actually getting to hear a sound on there, and actually remembering a sound as a kid that was very similar to that Ohio howl when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. It kind of kicked it in for me then, but my boy had kind of the passion for it before I did. He wanted to go out and look, which I think we're kind of wasting our time. We're going to be wasting our time doing this stuff. I mean, I don't think there's anything around here like this on the West Coast. But as time went on, he finally got me out in the mountain where I figured, be the perfect place to start. No nowhere. Dirt road goes down through there. We had a big rock thrown at us. I'm like, there's no way in heck anybody could have thrown a 9.25 pound rock from as far as we heard it come from.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear it crashing through the trees and hit the ground behind the van, and you could see the dust roll up behind the van and rock. And after that, it was kind of like a hook, line, and sinker. That was not a person. That was not a moonshiner making moonshine.
I think that hum's coming from you, Danielle. I don't know. It might be your microphone.
Is that better?
Yep, that is better. That was probably a little too close, getting some feedback. Yeah, well, I mean, what throws a rock in the woods except a person? And you're talking about, a 9-pound rock. Mm. I was with Carl and Rachel Gautreaux, and they had about a 5-pound piece of cement that had hit their house, and I picked it up, and I couldn't have thrown that 10 feet or 15 feet. Right. It would have taken a lot, maybe like a shot put. But this hit their house, like coming down on it. So you're talking about a 9-pound rock.
Hmm.
You just saw the person trying to throw that, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. It's total darkness. I mean, whoever threw that rock had very good aim to miss the van or to miss hitting me through the window. I mean, I was sitting in the van. I'm not getting out. It's too dark. Too many noises going on around us to begin with to get out, is what I was trying to say. I mean, to hear something cross the road and kind of stalk you in a way, and then you move on down, and then you have the rock thrown at you later. Within about 25 minutes later, a rock thrown at you. But nobody's going to believe you, right? You mean, that rock came out of the darkness, anybody could have thrown it. So what I did after we pulled out was I turned back around, opened the door up, reached down, picked the rock up, threw it in the back, closed the door, and we hauled butt. Which that was kind of like, it was a good thing on my part, as I got the evidence that was thrown at us.
Mm-hmm.
But I contaminated it, and really, how do we know where it came from and what did it come from? But I did document the weight on the rock, and the rock was, sharp on both ends. It's that thick and like a spearhead on both ends. And I mean, it could have been easily thrown with something with huge hands. I mean, it was just like a football, a small football to us. But, what kept me consistent actually, I had pretty much given up ever seeing a Sasquatch at all. Because there was a period of time where nothing happened. Everywhere I went, even going to reports, fresh reports, I wouldn't find no footprints, wouldn't find no evidence. Back then, I was really into tree breaks, stuff like that, TPs, and nothing was showing up wherever I was going. I was about to the point of giving up, and of course, with my dad, losing my dad and everything the year before, I was getting ready to give up Bigfoot altogether. And it was just like, when I gave up, that's when stuff really started happening. I mean, I actually got to see the daytime sighting, and it proved it. It was awesome, but at the same time terrifying. But what really kept me going was the people behind me that was encouraging me, of me doing a good job of researching, and and always encouraging me to change it up. You don't always stay in the same routine every time you go, or do the same thing every year. You might change it up one year, do something totally off the wall nobody else has ever tried, or something you thought about in the past and you tried it, but it didn't work somewhere else. It may work now. So it's kind of like that kind of a deal. It's like everybody's encouraged me to do the different things.
Well, you do a lot of things that are new and really innovative. But for those that haven't heard, why don't you give us just a brief rundown of your sighting, what happened that day, and what you were doing, and
which
what
one? The first one,
the
2000?
Yeah, the very first one.
Very first.
We'll get into the other one later.
All right. Now, if you can, this is what I always tell people. When you have an encounter with a Sasquatch, it never changes. And that's one thing I can tell you that does not ever change with my sighting. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, why I was there, and why I left the way I did. I mean, there's no changing in it, because you can hear other people's stories, and over the years they change. Mine has never changed, because I'm telling you what actually happened that day. In August 2015, it was the year after my daddy passed away. I was working for an ambulance company, and I was on medical transports, taking the guy from one county to the other for dialysis, because he'd used up all of his. He was a really rude guy, just to say the least, and he used up all the dialysis places by jumping on custom. He got kicked out of the entire county of dialysis. So he had to go plumb over into Giles County, over next to the West Virginia border, which I loved it. This gave me a great opportunity. He's on dialysis. I hated it for the fella. He didn't deserve to have dialysis. But he put me in the area of my encounter just by having his dialysis over there. And when I dropped him off, he had 4.5 hours. They didn't want me to come all the way back, do 2 or 3 other calls, and then go all the way back over and pick him up and then take him back on. So they left me over there all day, 4.5 hours. Good. The day before I went, I actually went through BFRO reports and picked up 2 of them, one from White Rocks and one from the Round Mountain area, just on the other side of 460. Well, I had went to White Rocks that day at a campsite, because I had already had 2 reports from that general area 2 years prior to that. and one the year before that. So it was kind of like this. I've got to get over there. So I put up on Google. I thought, okay. Now Dennis Taylor was telling me about a waterfall, beautiful waterfall. It was only that high. But you know,
It
he
was
said
beautiful, wasn't it?
there's a waterfall back there, and you got to get a picture of this for me, nature walk. So, yeah, I'll do that while I'm over there. I've got plenty of time. So I went up there to the top of the mountain, which it took 40 minutes to drive it from the main road to get to the campsites. 40 minutes out. And I got up there and I looked around, didn't find much. I found like a teepee structure, a real short one, that this is right outside the campground, which I ruled it out. It could be human because it's so close to the campground. And, you know, kids build teepee structures, Boy Scouts, you know, anybody can do it, you know, just to have a little fun. Oh, yeah, there might be some Bigfooters up there. We'll build a little teepee structure. I don't think Bigfoot's been here. So I kind of ruled it out as possibly human. So, and now I look at it now, it could have been Sasquatch too. Nobody knows. But after spending about an hour and a half up there, I thought, well, I ain't finding much, just that one thing. So I started off the mountain, and I had passed this place called Cherokee Flats on my way up. And I thought, I bet that's where the waterfall is. So I'm coming down the mountain, I come up on the long straightaway. You can see the pictures on my Facebook of Cherokee Flats. It's about a mile and a half of a straight road. You can see from one end to the other, and trees on both sides, double club on both sides. I was like, dang, I can drive this all day. And you can probably see all kinds of animals run across it. So what I did was I went down a little rock there, pulled in, got my cell phone out, had my cell phone in my hand, you know, get ready to go over here and take pictures of this waterfall. Bigfoot, not even on my mind. I want to get this picture of this waterfall. Then it says it's awesome. Well, I get to go through there, and it's a wheelchair accessible walkway, pavement part of the way, then it goes in a hard stone. Well, before I get to the hard stone, there's these little docks built out where you can walk out on them and take pictures of the water or trout fish from that particular area. As I'm walking through there, I notice there's lower thick on the right, lower thick on the left. And it breaks open. You can see the water every now and then on this side. Every now and then it would be a little opening or something on this side, but wasn't much opening on the right side. The road is just probably, from where the sighting was, probably about 75 yards from the road that I just came down, behind where this creature was standing at, what was squatted down at now that I see it. As I'm walking through there, I'm take one picture, and that's about all I get. Get up a little further, I'm getting ready to take another picture. Here, a snap off to my right. I thought, deer, it must have jumped the deer up or something, you know. So I'm looking for this deer and never see it, never hear it run off, just hear the snap. Well, that should have been a red flag for me, because anything that runs away from you, you can kind of hear it a little ways before it goes out of hearing distance. Of course, I'm half deaf. I go going up, and I'm getting close to this waterfall. I've walked probably 125, 150 yards maybe. And I take a right step, and the next thing I'm froze solid. I'm looking straight ahead, and after I went back, I found out I wasn't but about 20, 25, 30 yards from the waterfall. That's how close it was. That's that tall. I get to the point where I take that right step, I'm froze. I got my camera in my hand, just like I would be taking a picture. But of course, it's gone off because it's been so long since I touched it. I look to my right, and then there it is. I mean, it's just just like that. Of course, I was the same way. When I seen it, my mouth flew up, my eyes got big, and it was reflecting my emotions back to me. But at the same time, it was kind of looking me up and down. This lasted for probably about 8 seconds. Longest bull ride I ever had in my life of emotion. And as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, this thing is going to kill me. This thing will kill me. We're looking at shoulders, probably, they were as wide as a Jeep, as if the hood on my Jeep Liberty I had at the time. This thing was covered in hair from top to bottom, short on the head, short on the face. Kind of had like the beard here. His mouth was oblong though. I didn't, my avatar I got on Facebook or on everything else is what the list would look like together, according to Alex Evans's diagnosis of the actual mouth that I gave her if it was closed. I didn't think it would be good to have an avatar going like that, but she left the eyes alone. And but what I saw was the mouth was open but no teeth. The eyes were huge, like a surprise party. And as I look at this thing, I'm thinking, okay, it could be here on me anytime. So I'm backing out with my camera in hand, but it was down in front of me. And I was sneaking back behind the laurels so it wouldn't see me. And as soon as I got to the point where it couldn't see me, spun around. Oh God, if this thing comes after me, I didn't have no service, no cell phone service at all. So I go to camera and start recording my way out. So if this thing did attack me, I would have the evidence of what got me. That's all I was worried about, was getting out of there and getting to the vehicle. That's all I was worried about. And that was the longest dead, fast-paced walk I had ever done. And I was at the point where I came up on the trees that forked that I did not see on my way in. I came in from the right side of the trail down onto another one that I didn't know that because the laurel had hid that part of it on my way in. So when I come back, I'm running into this one tree and a path going this way and a path going this way. I'm like, which way do I go, George? And I thought, okay, so if I didn't see it, I wasn't that close to the water. Let's go this way. Natural instinct kicked in. You got to go this way. I get to another point and I hear something rustling over to the left of me a little bit. And I kindly slow down and I stop and I listen for just a second. And it sounds just like a roar or a something, I don't know, deep happened at that moment. 10 steps later, I was dead run out of there and I was at the car. It was like one of them, you could feel it through your body, that kind of deal where it jolts you. But I heard it and then it was heard on the camera too. It was actually heard.
Do you think he surprised it?
Yes, I do.
You think he was surprised that you actually saw him?
Yes, I believe maybe he was waiting on that deer that popped up on me, that maybe I spooked. Because after going back, there's a lot of deer trails going down to that trail before you get to where I had the sighting. There's a lot of trails coming down to that trail and going up the trail down that water source at the waterfall. And I'm thinking he was going to ambush the deer. And I ran the deer off and I was his prey. That's the only thing I can think of. He was thinking I was the deer coming.
Right. That makes sense. And you're right. I've heard your story quite a few times and it never changes. It's just the same thing every time.
If it happens, you're going to tell it the way it happens. You won't change.
If anybody hasn't gone already and subscribed to Daniela's new channel, Hidden Existence, she had her first show last night. She had me on there. I was very proud to be her very first guest. And I told my encounter, and we talked about it after we had gone off the air, that I've told it so much. I tried to change it up a little bit, and not exactly what happened, just the way I tell it. It's like the guy that told me one time there's no such thing as alternate facts. I was like, well, yeah, there are alternate facts. It just depends on how you do it, how you say it. You can say it's partly cloudy. Well, it's also partly sunny. That's
kind of in between
Two
there.
facts that are alternate. You know, both things are true at the same time. So so you can kind of change the way you tell it sometimes, but I mean, you never have. Now, ever since that happened, you do something that I've never seen anybody else do. You put out a live, it's a live feed camera that anybody can go and watch.
This is the cell phone right here.
Is that it? Is that the one?
This is the cell phone. Sure is. It spends a lot of time out in the woods when we do it. So,
and yeah, have you gotten anything yet? I mean,
well, we have, but really we cannot say it was Bigfoot. I mean, we have not seen Bigfoot on here. Now, I have been captured on the live feed seeing a Bigfoot.
yeah, we were going to get into that actually.
Yeah, I have not caught nothing on here that says substantially that yes, we have all seen a Bigfoot on his live feed.
Right.
But we've had things happen like the tree smashing, which could have been human. Somebody might have been messing with me. We've seen glow sticks right up the road here go shoot, just disappear, just get thrown to the ground or took off with. The one we never did find. And then we found the other glow stick in the top of a structure that popped up the night that we heard a lot of crashing and moving around with sticks and stuff like that. And a tree structure popped up right beside the live feed. So, I mean,
yeah, it's hard to get
around it.
It's hard to get evidence that you can say absolutely is Sasquatch. You know, there's just so much that we don't know about them, and if you can attribute any of it to being a person, you almost have to. You know, just if you're going to be honest with yourself and honest with everybody else, if this could possibly be a person messing with you, then you just have to go there, and it's a difficult thing. You know, I'm kind of glad I don't do it.
I tell you what, I'm about ready to retire. I mean, this is kidding. I mean, I don't know if y'all know what's going on here in Virginia, but it's hard to go squatching and think about what's going on with our laws, our gun rights. I mean, it's hard to put anything else with what is going on here in Virginia right now. And that's why I haven't done it. So it's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid of the kind of precedent that's going to set, actually.
Yeah.
But you know, I think there's just too many people in this country, over 300 million guns in this country, that are just not going to give up their weapons. They're just not going to happen. So it could be a very, very bad thing. But
anyway,
beyond that, you're the second time you saw one, you're messing with the camera, right?
Yes, I had just put the live feed up, and you know, I could tell you this from what my wife explained to me and others in the chat. I see quite a few of them here, Jay Lucy, the Squatch team, and Andy, Young Fishing. I've seen a bunch of these guys here in in my actual live feeds in the comments. And from what I seen after I got back, it all made sense. I was up there putting the live feed up, the same as I always had. Put the halo box in, checked it, make sure it was on, because I had put it up there before and it forgot to turn the halo on. We got 3 hours and that was it. And usually our live feeds ran for me were from 12 to 14 hours at a time. Mm-hmm. And that's changed too, but I don't know what happened. But I had got up there and put the camera up, sighted it up, talked to everybody real quick, and they said I kept looking to my right. I didn't pay no attention to this myself personally, but I think it was a conscious thing that maybe I was picking up and didn't know it, that something was coming. And I kept doing that as I was putting the camera up, looking to my right. And I did feel that kind of you're not alone. There was probably an animal nearby, a deer maybe the bear we had picked up the 2 weekends before or so. But yeah, this thing was there, and the way I came out, I had to carry my ladder out because I didn't want to leave it by the tree in case something got to messing with it, or if somebody found the ladder, they would get up in the tree and probably get my live feed and my halo and all that. So I had to put it. I had to secure it. I usually secure it away from the camera, so it ain't so obvious. Of oh, let's get this ladder and we're going to take this out of this tree. So it's kind of like I'm aware of people too. People's going to do stupid stuff like steal your trail cameras and your cameras or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm carrying it out, and the way it was, the cemetery here, I always walk in and walk around this pine tree. We're in between the two pine trees, and then go over this way to where we can see the back of the Virgin Mary. There's a little statue there, Virgin Mary. Looked like a very peaceful place. I mean, seriously, I mean, felt peace. I never did really feel nothing coming from the cemetery part of it much, except for maybe, okay, it might be a hang here too. This is an old homestead place, so, these people might be still looking out for the property. But that's another whole story. But, yeah, I get to the point where I'm carrying a ladder out, walk down to the two pine trees to walk out. Well, as I come out between the two pine trees, I don't ever look that way. I don't ever look to my left. It's usually to my right when I see Sasquatch, right? But I just glance off to my left a little bit, something caught the corner of my eye, and it was standing there just plain as day. I mean, off camera from the live feed. And the first thing I do is back up and scream a little bit of holy something and beep, 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 beep. We'll cuss them. And then I kind of froze for just a second. What the do I do with the ladder? So I throw it down. Throw the ladder down and I haul butt out of it. But this thing was not as wide as the one I had seen before. And it was probably around 6.5, 7 foot tall. And it was more like a swampy looking squatch.
Long hair.
The longer color, the longer covered hair, but you could see skin. They're like a mangy looking squatch.
Yeah.
But the thing of it got me was I looked straight into his eye. I can only see one eye because of this side was pulled down over his face. So I'm only getting so much of his face, just so much of it. Couldn't really see much of a nose or nothing like it. I've seen the skin of it. I couldn't make out no detail. But it looked more like something that come out of Odyssey Creek. I mean,
so it had long hair on its head. The hair was coming down over his face.
The hair was longer on his head, like it had dreadlocks, to be honest with you. But the rest of his body was covered in long hair. I mean, it didn't have much short hair, but what short hair had, you could see visibly through it, the darker skin.
Right.
It looked like I don't know. I mean, it was different. I had seen people talk about the longer haired Sasquatch with the real long drapey hair, and it looked like an orangutan looking hair. But this was on his head. I mean, it was kind of a weird looking. I mean, I wasn't playing. It looked like our old neighbor Clark's bad comb over, going the wrong way, and it was just a shock. And you can go back and watch his video; it's still up. I mean, the encounter, and just to make sure I got it out real quick, I went home and made another video right then and there about what happened, why they see me ran off. I mean, it normally took me 12 minutes to get in, which I always took my time. You're taking pictures, doing videos, whatever, looking for tracks. And then it only took me like 3 minutes to get to the truck. Like I seen this thing from 12 minutes to 3 minutes, and it was all downhill. I still got scars, a little bit of scars on my elbows and knees from where I got tore up falling down a long hill getting out of it. I actually tore myself up pretty good. Had gashed up and blood flowing. Lost my sunglasses. I mean, you name it, it happened that day. I about lost my best friend, my insanity.
Well, to me, that's one of those perfect indicators that these creatures, I don't know if it's if they carry a different genetic code, I mean, I don't think that it's a different creature, but you're talking about the hair. The one that I saw had really short hair on his head. Mark Zasky saw one. He called the dude. He saw it from 50 yards away very clearly, and it had a long mop, but it also had longer hair on the shoulders, and just like you described,
It's like a
it
long hair.
was more of a reddish brown color, the one he
Right.
saw, but it looked, very human, light gray, that light gray colored skin and reddish hair and just a long mop on its head. So, I mean, it just kind of makes you wonder, the same area he had seen that one. He's gotten a lot of images of ones that had the short hair or 4-inch long hair that's going all over the place. It's just to me it's a perfect indicator that these creatures are not all the same. And I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't say that there are different types, no more than than you would say that an African American or a Chinese person or a Hispanic person or a Caucasian person would be a different type of person. But I think you can kind of put it along those same lines because they still all congregate in the same areas. So you never know, what you're going to get, what you're going to see when you get one of these creatures. And that's why it doesn't really surprise me that people see something they call a dog man. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it may just be exactly that. I kind of lean a little bit more toward it being, a Sasquatch, with a very long face. But I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I can't tell these people they didn't see what they saw,
Yeah. Well, I watched a Silver Bullet today. Y'all remember that movie? And now I'm all freaked out. I won't even go outside and let the dogs out. So I hated werewolf movies. But I laughed through the whole thing today. I'm like, you mean to tell me I was scared of that movie when I was a kid? Good God. I love the wheelchair.
I find it strange the differences in the types. I don't mean types by the more like the descriptions. You'd expect it more if being geographical, in the sense that some in hotter places, some in colder places might have different hair. I don't know, but it's interesting that it's just a real mix. What people see, like you say, when they see him, it could be anything. So yeah.
Where we at? I'm sorry, my phone constantly goes off, and I kind of get sidetracked a little bit.
I think my audio is cutting in out a little bit. I don't know.
No. I mean, we still have just that little bit of hum from. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just maybe it's feedback. That's pretty good right there. You can barely hear it. So what's the plan for the future, Tracy? I mean, you talking about quitting? What are you talking about here?
That was just a joke. I know these people in the chat that actually follow me. I think they're all going to panic now because they love being on the live feed, talk about cooking, what they drink, what they eat, and talk about all this good stuff that's going on in the Bigfoot community. But I got some really, really, really dedicated people. I got people who are sitting back with notebooks, writing down timestamps in their notebook. So they go back on the video, go back over it. And, we're going to get together soon, actually, and dedicate some time to these videos where we've had a lot happen and dissect them and see what the possibilities of what we do have on these live feeds that could have been Sasquatch. Or we've actually had a live troll that found where I was at local and left a letter to me personally, thanking you, Sasquatch. We're watching you. We've seen what you've done. We know what you've done. We're talking about their son, how they had to explain why he does this and when he shows this and whatever. What you see on my live feeds is what you get. What you see on my videos is what you get. So everybody's seen what I've done. But they tried to put up like a mountain monster kind of thing where they got me upset. I was afraid to go in the woods without a gun. I mean, seriously, that's what it all came down to. Was they got their attention, they got my attention, which gave them attention.
Yeah, that's usually what it's about.
You know, and that interfered with that area. I mean, right now we're pulling them out of it. I mean, we're going totally the opposite direction, which is that time of year. Um, I found over the years of, I've been doing research for over 7.5 years now. So we're going to go back to where 3 years ago there was activity and try to get ahead of possibly where these things are going. Or a different group. I'm not sure if it's the same groups or not that are in these other two areas that I'm, actually the one huge area I'm in. But we're going to go to a different area and see what's happening over there, because it is kind of dying out on this side. So my thoughts is go back 3 years and we're going to go to a different area. And these guys have voted on where to go, and it seems like Sasquatch Mountain is where we're going. There's not a whole lot of live feeds going on there because signal. But now I've got the 360 camera, I've got the drone, I've hopefully getting some more cameras soon to put up on the trees and stuff, to record a long period of time. And then we're going to head out and go on the other side of the county, middle of July, when all these sightings came into the BFRO at that time, and maybe capture something there. I mean, we got to plan out for the year, but it's just going to take a little bit of downtime right now for what's going on in Virginia, for me to find out what's going to happen to my rights before I get back fully into what's going on in Bigfoot. Number one priority is God. Number two is my family. Number three is how to protect my family. So mess with the wrong things, and I just ain't gonna fall for that.
Right. No, I agree. Absolutely. You know what? I had thought for a long time about how I was going to record for a long time straight. So what I did was I found these Sony, or actually Scott found them, these Sony FDR 3000R. It's an action cam, people that ski and do all these things that wear these cameras. It's one of those, and mounted on the shoulder, but I was trying to figure out how to use it for a long time. Well, it's 256 gig capable, and it shoots in 4K. So all I did was got this Blackwell battery pack. It's 20,000 milliamp hour battery pack. They're only like $40, and I hooked it up to it, and it'll record for 10 hours at a time. So it might be something you can consider. Then you can even get a package where it comes with the strap. You strap it on the tree, point it in any direction you want to. And the cool thing about it is it comes with a watch that's got a screen on it. So you can actually look at that watch, and it's hooked up through Wi-Fi. So as long as you're within, a half a mile of the camera, you can see what the camera's seeing on your watch. So might be something. I'll send you the link to where, again, they're relatively inexpensive. You can get the whole setup for like $550. I mean, I say relatively inexpensive. I mean, there's nothing cheap. There's nothing cheap when if it's good.
Well, if it's good, I mean,
but I don't think it's a bad idea.
It ain't a bad idea at all. And I'll tell you another good idea. That guy Jason I was telling you about was going with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
He's wanting to help me.
That's good.
I'm going to help him first. We'll go down to where they had their incident behind their house, and the actual blind that he's found near his home that looks down on his home from the woods. Like somebody could sit up there and look and watch the whole backside of his backyard from that area. I'm going to go check that out for him. And then he's going to help me in a couple of areas that I can't get to. But I'm going to take him in and show him what I have found to be possibly Sasquatch related.
Okay.
Or where I think they'd be moving through this time of year. Which right now, that down where he's at is their grounds for living. All the ponds around there, the New River Valley, the New River running through there, and just it's a hotbed through the winter months because there's so much abundance of food, different types of food. Even the vegetation is still green. Down lower there where it stays warmer near the water. The undergrowth and all that's still green. It ain't died out really. So I'm hoping to help him out. But he's going to come along with me on several journeys this year, which I got to say this before I say that. This year at the ECBRO third annual Bigfoot conference, I will be a speaker there, along with several others. I don't know who they are yet. Sorry.
Is that Daniel? That's Daniel's.
Yeah, Daniel's a man. He's going to do a third one. So,
yes, let everybody know where that is and when it's going to be.
Yes, I will get him to share that with you guys in a link or something soon. Y'all
okay.
I don't know. I can't use the computer while I'm on it.
Well, for anybody that doesn't know who we're talking about Jason Dobbins. He's going to be a member of our expedition crew. He's actually on the red team with DDoS. He's a first responder. Everybody that's going has their own particular charge. Everybody's got their own job to do because of the way we're going to be doing this expedition. Everybody's gonna have to do something a little bit different. So, and Jason was just the perfect guy for it. He's been in a lot of high tense, high pressure situations. I actually liked the fact that he wasn't really a Bigfoot researcher, but was still willing to make the kind of sacrifice that we're asking these guys to make when we go down and do this. And just an all around great guy, very upstanding, person, which was very important that we had guys that had good standing in their communities and good, honest guys. If we're gonna sell this thing, we have to have people that are believable. It's just plain and simple. But yeah, he's just perfect for what we're doing. So I'm glad you guys hooked up, man. I'm glad y'all are going to get together and get him a little bit more Sasquatch experience. Something else you mentioned, and this is true just about anywhere you go. If you're familiar with the woods at all, there are microsystems within any particular area. So you can have, say like you have a 10 square mile area of woods. You have areas that have different vegetation from others because the conditions are that much different. And you wouldn't think that it would be that way. I mean, obviously the big deciduous trees, hardwoods, pines, those may all be the same, but you might have a certain kind of moss growing in this one certain area that brings in this one little certain type of bug, that brings in this one little certain type of animal, that brings in a Sasquatch, and then the next 100-yard or 200-yard block, it doesn't have that. It's got something completely different. So I think that's someone needs to look at that aspect of it. I think as far as Sasquatch and Sasquatch activity and what type of little microsystems are going on in these areas, and it could provide some answers, plain and simple.
And you're exactly right. I mean, you never know what what they're feeding on. They can't. I don't think a Sasquatch, if it did live off of just full meat, it would mess his system up. I believe it has to have something else to take care of that meat. It has to have something to help it process the meat, and not just some stomach acid.
Sure.
You got to have greens. You got to have something green. A root. Your roots hold the same amount of the acid that grows in the green vine. So they have to be going for roots too right now. I mean, if they did eat that type of food, I ain't saying they do. Just because I say,
and there are animals that eat nothing but meat, but I mean, they're set up a little bit differently than upright walking creatures are. Not that we know what their metabolism or their
I ain't got it.
Look like. It's just we have to speculate, about all this.
Speculating that they don't eat bananas. Do not leave bananas in the woods because my dogs don't even like bananas. I mean,
well, they don't know what it is, man. They've never seen a banana before.
Yeah, just because they're supposed to be a primate, don't leave them with a thing of bananas because you're going to come back to a bunch of slushy yellow mush. I mean, serious.
I'll tell you what, Mike Causey, guy from Jackson, Mississippi, one of the worst encounters he ever had. He would go out and he had a cooler that he had buried into the ground. All you could see was the lid. He'd pull the lid off and but he always put mangoes in it and apples. and they would eat the mangoes. And every time he went to this place, he would put that stuff in there.
Wow.
Well, he was close by there one day. He didn't go by the grocery store, so he goes out and he walks down. He's like 120, 130 yards down to where his cooler is that he's got buried in the ground, and he walks down there and he gets a little bit of activity here and there. Doesn't leave anything, turns around and starts to walk out. He said he probably got 30 or 40 yards up the trail. And it sounded like he said it was the worst scream I'd ever heard in my life. It was just ear piercing, loud scream. And she said it startled him, it stunned him. And once that happened, he said, Kerry, I could hear him coming. He said, I took off trotting. Mike, he was probably about 50 years old at this point. This was 5 or 6 years ago. And he said they're paralleling me on either side, and I'm running, trying to get out, and they're throwing green pine cones at him while he's trying to get out. And he's hollering and screaming. And he said it just sounded like a pack of chimpanzees is what he described it as. He said he made it back to his car, drove home, and at about 12 o'clock midnight, he's laying in his bed, him and his wife, and all of a sudden they hear bam against the house, and then 10 minutes later they hear it again, bam. These things they're smacking his house. They're running up there smacking it. And after about 2 hours, the funny part about all this is his wife, she said, look, Mike, you're gonna have to go out there and talk to him, because she knew too what was going on. You're gonna have to go out there and say something to him. So he did. He goes out on his screened-in back porch and says, look, hey, I'm sorry I didn't leave y'all, giving him this whole plea about not leaving the mangoes and the pineapples when he came. And he said there was a rock or an acorn or something hit the window right in front of him. And he said that they left him alone after that. So I don't know how much they understood of that, if they understood exactly what he was saying, but I just thought it was very, he had been leaving, and that's why it's dangerous, especially at your house, to gift food to these creatures, because if the first time you don't do it, it's gonna upset them. It just, you've seen it, you've heard it happen so many times. Now going somewhere else and doing it like he's doing, but even still, they knew right where he lived. How they knew that, I don't know. But apparently they had followed him home several times. I don't know how. It wasn't that far away where he was doing it, but I just thought that was so weird, that they would go to those lengths to get back at him for not leaving them their favorite little mangoes. Just strange story. I didn't mean to get off on somebody else.
No, you're fine, because I've got something to go right with that. If you're going to feed any kind of animal, even if it's close to your home or away from your home, you're taking a chance of that animal being there waiting for you when you get there to leave the food the next time. And plus, if it is a dependent animal that survives on its own, why take its dependence away and it rely on you for its food source? Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of people will gift like animals. You did it
this past year. I've done the apples. Somebody suggested in the chat with peanut butter on there. Take the peanut butter, dip it in there, and I'll smooth it around, pop it on the tree. Thank God it was just a little daggum chipmunk or something popped in that night to eat the apple. Because I probably would have went back if something would have came over and yanked them apples off, and it was dark and the light would have showed up something black. Probably would not have went back there to get my camera again. Because you're playing a dangerous game when you're feeding any kind of an animal. I mean, even if it's a stray cat. I mean, you could take it. You take food out, feed the cat. It's going to keep coming back, right?
Right.
How do you know that cat ain't got
home now?
How do you know that cat ain't got rabies?
Mike or Patrick, don't feed cats under any circumstances. You know what? We have a cat at home right now for that very reason. It came up, Linda fed it, and it's been there for 3 years. So yeah, she's a good cat though. I'm not much of a cat person, but she is good. She thinks she's a dog. Our cat thinks she's a dog. She comes when you whistle. Yeah, and our dog thinks he's somebody. So
I've got 3 other kids besides the 2 that I had, and they're dogs, but they think they're human.
Of course they do. Here's a question from Robert D. Tracy. What are your thoughts on what these things are?
I believe they're their own species. I'll be honest with you, they're their own species because they've got so much dynamic of smart. They got some human characteristics about them. They got primate characteristics about them, but they're in their total different bracket of what they are. Uh, I don't think we've had anything from humans to go to that.
Do you consider them a type of people? Maybe.
Maybe like the Native Americans call them, they're the protectors of the woods.
Mm.
They're more spiritual of nature and their surroundings and what they have to do to keep going. They're more about themselves and nature than what they are about anything else. You see us. You see us as humans, what we've done to the earth and what we're doing, we're evolving, becoming technology for our own good or for bad, whichever you see it. But these things have lived in the same mindset for possibly thousands of years. Who knows? But their same mindset is to take care of their own. I mean, you don't get no better than that.
Yeah, there's definitely an emotional intelligence going on with these creatures, and you can't really say that about anything other than humans. To have emotional intelligence, or to have emotions, period. Andy gone fishing. Tracy, have you ever had your mirror moved or disrupted from your locations?
One time I went up there when we first had it up, and I think I actually moved it once from around the other side of the tree to the other side, kind of like that kind of a deal. It was either my fault for not tightening something up or not getting it tight enough on the tree, or something could have moved it, such as a bear, because I don't know, trees do climb bears. Bears do climb trees. Never seen a tree climb a bear, but I feel like climbing a tree a time or two. But the bear, I think a bear could have climbed the tree and actually pulled the mirror around. Didn't break it, just like a gentle motion display and over and down. But I didn't even document it because really it could have been a big bird laying on top of the mirror, and it went down and took the bird to the ground. It just wasn't really nothing really meant to document on that mirror. Now, if I go up there and find something like a smear print, handprint, something like that, now I document the heck out of that. But still, yet at 9 feet, anybody can reach up there and just tap it and do that. So it would be a lot going into that mirror to actually have it be a part of a evidence, so to say. But no, I haven't really had the mirror change that much unless the wind did it or the bird. Or bird.
All right. There was a couple more here. Here's one from Jerry Pajerski. Tracy, have you ever found any unusual or unknown scat?
Yes, I have. I have found a scat right up here at the Discovery Pond. I can actually put one of those cameras you're talking about that works within a half mile of the watch into this area from my home. My thoughts on the scat was actually it kind of resembled a brown bear scat, and they're not around here. Brown bear scat is totally different than the black bears we've got. It was a huge pile, discolored majorly, and I've never found it like that before. It wasn't, and I found human before too, and it ain't nothing like human in the woods been left out either. It was fresh. It had seeds in it from where to eat berries. Different types of 3 different types of grass in it. I pulled it out and found wheat. The tops of the wheat stalks. I just went through it real good. I mean, I got a video on it too. Like, hey, look at there. Hopefully big dick.
You got to be thorough, right? You got to be thorough. You got to be thorough.
Yeah, you got to be thorough. And I had a pair of gloves on. So, yeah, it made it real thorough and real sterile. But the stick was not sterile. It comes straight out of the ground. So I was over poking around with the stick, and I've seen all these different types of, it looked like different layers of scat. And I remember, just like yesterday, my son was saying, Dad, I've never seen like that before. You know, and he's a woodsman too. He's out in the woods. Probably at that time he was out in the woods more than I was. He stayed in the woods. He was a young teenager out tracking these animals, getting ready for trapping season, getting ready for hunting season. And if he wasn't doing that, he was fishing. And you know, he's just outdoors all the way around. He's like, I ain't never seen him like that. I mean, I'm trying to beat that out, but you know.
No, that's okay. I think everybody got that. Here's Miss Kathy Spencer. She says, has he ever experienced knowing their thoughts or intentions toward you? What do you think? Do you think they have good intentions? Think they might have bad intentions towards you? What do you think?
I believe they got curious intentions.
Curious.
Very, very curious intentions of what are you doing in my neck of the woods? What are you doing up here? Are you hunting? Are you fishing? Are you hiking? Are you? I think they could pick up on your senses by how you carry yourself in the woods, what you're carrying. If you're carrying a stick, if you're carrying a hiking stick, they know how freely you walk. They get to know you, how you act as you walk in. That's why I walk in the same path every time. I walk out the same path every time. And I walk the same way, out of breath most of the time, unless I'm going downhill. But you know, it's kind of like if they're there watching me, they're going to see the same thing every time. That's what people tell me all the time. Why do your videos always start out the same way on that hillside? And you're going, I'm like, well, you know, I mean, I'm not in the best shape. I do smoke probably a pack a day, and but you know, you got to be consistent yourself to get consistent evidence. And
yeah, you don't want them to think that you're trying to fool them. Maybe you know you're not really trying to fool anything. You're going in the same way, out the same way. There's Carl Gotro, LA Swamp 8. Found hair.
Yep, I have found hair. This is over in, I think it was over on 42 in Bland County. I got a report of a road cross. 6 months earlier, I had caught myself in the headlights. Something that could have been a bear, but it was really, really fast. Just zip across the road, and I was doing 60. I was running late picking this guy up. That's when I worked for Guardian. I did a lot of Bigfooting on the time. But I was going down 42, and I seen something zip across the road. I was like, damn, I hit that bear, you know. I mean, could have been a bear, could have been a Sasquatch. So I kept it out of my mind. Well, 6 months later, I get this report from a guy that lived probably about a quarter mile away from the people I pick up now. You know, I used to pick up. And he had got a hold of me through somebody that had my number. I can't remember who all was involved in this, but it went through 3 different people before he got a hold of me. He told me he was coming down the road near the farm where the row of trees were, and something popped off the bank, 1 step from the side of the bank to the center line, and 2 steps over the fence on the other side of the road. I measured this, 35 yards from one fence to the other. The thing was seen probably 5 seconds. And he said it took 1 stride of the middle of the road, 2 strides over the fence. Big steps. And he said the thing looked like it was probably, you know, 8.5 foot, 8 to 8.5 foot.
Wow.
Long covered, you know, long hair on the body, covered, big, muscular. He seen muscles moving as it was running.
A monster.
Yeah. And well, I went to this area. I thought, there's a fence. There's some barbed wire. We're going to see if we can find some hair. Well, this freaking hill was like this that the thing come off of. Oh, yeah. And it was wet and slippery where it had rained for 2 or 3 days. So I go up on this fence and get myself to where I can grab a hold of it, pull myself up on it, and I look down both sides of the fence, you know, like this, you know, and I kind of had to pull myself along with the fence to keep from sliding down the hill. And I remember getting over this one part where the tree was. And I look at the tree, and right beside the tree, there's a bobber sticking about that far, and the tree is about 2 inches away from it, and there was a hair there. Well, I should say 3 or 4 hairs. And I'm thinking, okay, now I've got to get down this hill, come back with a DNA kit. So I've left it Went and got my gloves and all that stuff. Come back, I think it was like 2 days later, because the next time I had to go over there through the company. Put my gloves on, had my tweezers, and gosh, and I wore my hiking boots to work that day because tennis shoes wasn't cutting on that slick heel.
Mm.
So I get up on that fence line and I collect the 4 hairs. One of them was 6.5 inches long. The others were about 4.5 to 5. And I didn't touch it with my fingers till later on. Because I give up on doing any kind of DNA test because it costs hundreds, more than I'll ever be able to put in any DNA. And people want money to run tests. So, okay, I get it out one day, and I had my gloves on. Well, it never really been contaminated. It's on a stick. I had to wrap it around a stick to get it in a little glass vial, 2-inch glass vial. So I put it down inside there. Well, when I pull the stick out, I start unwinding it. I'm like, well, I do like that. It's waving. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Well, I do some more research 2 or 3 months on down the road throughout that period of time. The only thing this guy has in there is cows. So I'm doing some studying on cows. And guess what I found out? Cows do not have hair 6 inches long. Bears do not have hair 6 inches long in this area. Unless it's a male bull from Tennessee that's got the big mane. The big mane around the bull's head. Those bears around here, 5.5 inches long. Now there was several there. It was 5 and 5.5. There was just one particular 6.5. 6.5 inches long.
Was it pretty thick? Pretty thick looking hair.
I got to say it was human-like hair.
I got you. My internet went out there for a second. I don't know.
Wavy. It was wavy. It was a bird. And what do you hear about people's encounters of the Sasquatch? When it was removing it, the hair would wave.
Yeah.
If it was coarse hair, it wouldn't wave. It would kind of, flank. It would do that flop. It wouldn't wave. It would flop. It'd be heavier. So I'm just thinking, okay, this could be hair, but I ain't saying it is. And who knows? I don't know the whole history of the farm there. They could have had horses over there. Maybe it was a horse mane hair. Something like that, horsetail hair.
Right.
But I mean, I did collect hair, and I've collected it.
But you collected it from a sighting area also.
Yeah, that was the big key there.
Right.
Big word on that was a sighting area, and I did get in there pretty quick versus when it happened. There pretty quick. I actually got vocalizations 4:30 in the morning from that exact spot. I think I took something off by being in his path. I really did. I mean, there's a little pull off right there where the road crossing happened, and I pulled down in that path from where it was crossed over.
Well, man, we have come to the end of our hour. Tracy, great to have you on here once again. Yeah, we always want to leave them wanting a little bit more, so that way next time you come back, you got a little bit more to give. Make sure you go and subscribe to Hiking with Sasquatch Outlaw. Go do that right now. Also, don't forget to check out Daniela's new channel, Hidden Existence. Go subscribe to that right now. Myself and Mark Zaski just recorded our first 2 shows on Patreon called Mark and Kerry A to Z. You can go sign up for that right now. It's $2 a month. And we just did our first 2 shows. They should be out here with, he said Monday or Tuesday. They're going to be, he's got to edit them. But I think you guys are going to enjoy that. We had a good time making it. But Tracy, thank you for joining us here tonight, man. Awesome to have you as always. Glad I actually got to talk to you this time.
Yeah, where you been?
I've been working. Got a lot of stuff going on. But thanks everybody for joining us here tonight on the Researchers Report. Wednesday, who we got, Daniela?
We've got Blake Dusha.
All right.
He's had some encounters. He's got his own little channel going, and he's had a few encounters actually. So we're going to talk to him on Wednesday.
All right. That's going to be this Wednesday at 7:00 p.m. Central. Be here to hear about Blake's encounters. And Tracy, good luck, brother. Everybody go check out Hiking with Sasquatch Outlaw and watch that live feed. everybody has fun over there. It's usually a pretty fun atmosphere whenever you turn that thing on. So
Appreciate you, Kerry. Appreciate you, Danielle.
yes, sir.
Appreciate everybody in the chat.
Thanks. Tracy.
Always.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.